Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show. Tonight's topic is going to be artists that we've slept on in one way or another. And this show is brought to you by DJVentplayer.com, www.DJVentplayer.com. Check them out, as well as our other sponsors, down in the description of this video on YouTube. Now that we have that out of the way, we're joined tonight by Mr. Howie Darkstar, Eric from New Hampshire, John from Boston, Matt from Georgia, and let's go ahead and jump in and do our Boston John's Record Roundup. What do you say, John? What do you got for us tonight?
Sadly, I don't have a record from this band that I saw 2 weeks ago, but I have records from his former band.
Oh, close enough.
Close enough. So the artist, the show I went to see, of course, the opening act was John Corabi. Used to had like a short stint with Motley Crue.
Okay.
The Midlands was Kip Winger and his group, two of the original four, and our headliner was the Tom Kiefer Band, who used to front a group called Cinderella out of Pennsylvania from back in the day. So he's the last man standing. It's a whole new cast of characters. I brought Night Songs along. And I brought Long Cold Winter along.
Okay.
Because it's a couple of good records.
Sure.
Cinderella's interesting because they always got pigeonholed as a hair band because that was marketable. But if you listen to them, they're kind of like a cross between the Stones and Guns N' Roses. You know, they're very blues based. The stuff he's doing now is a lot more blues riffy. He played all the hits, everything you want to hear. Bunch of new songs too. He's got 2 records out since he's gone solo. Rise is the most recent. If you guys are interested in just having you say it's all been done, but this is kind of familiar rock. It's nothing that would make you change the channel. You say, that's catchy. I like that. That's good. But all 3 put on a stellar performance. These guys stole the show. He still got the pipes like he did back in 85, 86. And it was just, it was a great concert. So if they come your way, look for that tour. It's Live Loud. And it's heading west. It's departed from Boston and New York area, and it's heading out through the Midlands out to California. So if you have a chance to go see it,
the Midwest.
Yeah. I think it was like $45 a ticket or whatever, and it was it's reasonably priced. They're playing smaller venues. I think the place I was at holds about 3,000.
Sure.
So it was at the Hampton Beach Casino, and I sent Jay some photos and some video from the Winger and the Cinderella bit, so he can attest. Good band back then. You should know the hits from back in the day. You should know Shake Me and Nobody's Fool and Long Cold Winter, Gypsy Road. I mean, that's all the stuff that's, lumped in as hair band, but it is really more blues rock. So if you like that kind of thing, check them out. Tom
right on
Band. That's my pick.
Right on. Excellent. Now we have I told you guys this was going to happen. We just started doing this like 2 minutes ago, dude. So we didn't cut you out. I said, Joe will be here in a minute. So let's go ahead and do the introductions and start, and he'll show up because that's just what he's going to do. So we have Pastor Jay Brennan joining us.
How are you?
Just fresh in from somewhere really cool in LA County somewhere.
Yeah, doing traffic.
We're doing the record roundup. Do you have a record for us, Jay?
I do. And it came to me late in the game because I just heard a new track from it. It is an album that by the time this show airs should be released. I believe the album is coming out the 2nd week of August.
Ooh, okay.
And I just heard a song that was an absolute scorcher and I had to Shazam it because I didn't know who it was singing. It sounded like The Warning. It's a girl singing. And the album is called Mammoth 2.
Oh.
By Mammoth WVH, standing for Wolfie Van Halen.
Yes.
And this,
yes.
I was like, wait, what the? Like just right between the eyes, straight up hard rock and roll, which we don't have a lot of these days. We have, gothy stuff, we have industrial stuff, we have dark stuff, but the days of just a good old rock and roll album. I mean, I'm going to buy the pre-release based solely on one song. It was that good.
I actually,
go ahead.
Believe it or not, I was listening to some classic rewind station or something on XM while my brother was in town. We worked on the car, and I think it was a Father's Day thing. And Wolfie was there with his mom, Valerie Bertinelli, and they were playing tracks and they were talking about this upcoming album. And we're talking about this girl who's going to be on it, who I guess Valerie and her friends were just like, they pushed for her to be on there. They thought that she was really good and she should do it. So they were just hyping it up, and I may have heard a track or two off of it.
The track I heard was Another Celebration at the End of the World. That's the pre-release single, Another Celebration at the End of the World. And it's just, I had, when it said Mammoth, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because I heard the first album and it's really good. But if this is the direction of the second album, this is a keeper.
Just some trivia. Mammoth was what Van Halen was calling themselves before they went with Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
So they reverted back to that, or Wolfgang Van Halen has reverted back to its band.
You referenced the XM thing. I've seen him interviewed several times, and for a kid that could have a huge chip on his shoulder and be just like, do you know who I am? Do you know who my dad was? Right. Do you know who my dad is, kind of thing? Yeah. He seems incredibly grounded. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know if that's his mom and his dad or both.
Gotta be his mom.
You know what? He seems like just a super nice guy that you could hang out with, and you wouldn't stop and say, oh, damn, your dad was like probably the greatest guitar player to ever live.
Right.
Like, he doesn't act like it. He doesn't talk like it. He's just very, and he gets it. He gets who he is and he gets what he represents. But I think it says a lot about the person. And when that kind of a personality is making music, I think it's worth checking out. So I'm going to go with a new album, Mammoth 2, released the second week of August, about the time some of us will be on the good old East Coast.
Yes,
we will.
Yes.
In fact, do we know the young lady who's singing on the record? Do we? Or is she a new girl?
I don't know. I will find out.
She's performing in LA somewhere, like, because Valerie was talking about her and her friends going to see her and really loving her. Like, they follow her. And I think they're all still LA based.
All right.
Yeah, there's the video. Well, the video came out in March for Another Celebration of the End of the World. So I'm sure if we check that, we can probably figure out who this girl is. But yeah, her voice is like, John, I mean, your Twitch set, the Damn Pete crowd of Warning.
Yes.
This will you should play it this week. This will take their heads off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, really, really good.
Sounds pretty good.
Well, next up, let's go to Matt and his phone in Georgia and see what Matt and his phone has brought us.
Well, I got the time, but I also have one of these.
Nice. Look at that.
Wow.
Oh, so one of our last record roundup.
I feel like a proud father right now that you.
Yeah.
Jay went with the Foo Fighters. So I thought about going with the Foo Fighters, but then changed my mind and wanted to go with a little.
Oh, he went.
Nice.
Pale Satin.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
And I am keeping this sealed for a reason. I have the music digitally, but I wanted to just keep a nice collector's edition, and it is it is actually growing in value. So
because it's worth money.
Yeah. It was a Record Store Day release, I believe, in 2021. And one of my favorite tracks on there, not only do you get some good live cuts, but a good track for even events is their cover of You Should Be Dancing.
I thought Shadow Dancing was good too.
Shadow Dancing
was interesting.
I have to give that another listen for sure.
Background vocals and stuff.
Whatever they dig into sounds good. That's just Foo Fighters.
Oh yeah.
Dave's
for sure.
Magic Man. Yep.
I'm telling you. And it still kind of chokes me up a little bit to talk about them at all, just thinking about Taylor. Like, that's Foo Fighters really are one of my favorite bands, but You Should Be Dancing. Definitely worth checking out, even if you mash it up with the Bee Gees original at one of your gigs. It flows really well. Almost, I don't want to say it sounds identical, but they don't butcher it. They do it a service, I guess. It's a good piece of music.
On Saturday, we had Harley's 120th anniversary going on here in Milwaukee. And Foo Fighters and Joan Jett were doing a show in Veterans Park, right downtown by the Art Museum on the lakefront. So I was the shuttle driver for my daughter, her husband, her brother, her biological brother, her mother, her mother's husband, and her mother's best friend. I was the shuttle driver for them because there was no parking. So they came to my house and I drove them down there and drove them back because I'm a nice guy.
And they're all accounted for.
Yeah. No one died. It was
saying like the X isn't missing or anything. It wasn't like, hey, let me here, check out. I think I have a brake light out. Do you mind getting behind this Suburban and check?
I had a talk.
I have a light out.
Have your tickets ready?
I had a talk with her last week. I told you about the incident that happened.
Yes.
And Stevie had walked away and I said, I have a favor to ask. And she said, what? And I said, can I graduate from your ex to maybe Stevie's dad? Would that be okay? Stop introducing me to people as my ex. That's just ugly.
Yeah.
Like we get along.
It's been like 75 years.
Right. It's been forever. This kid is married now.
The statutes run out. Yeah.
And she was a baby when we split up. Can we get beyond this ex stuff?
Yeah.
So. But anyway, I guess no DJ songs in their 3-hour set. They did nothing.
I'm not surprised because Taylor was a big part of that sound.
That's probably why it was.
Yeah. I think that's probably why they skipped out. I don't know if Josh, the new drummer, Josh Freese, has vocal range. I haven't seen any videos that show him singing or not, but I know the majority of the DG's project was a Dave and Taylor hanging out doing their, wouldn't it be great if?
Right.
You know what we should do? Sense. We should do this. And Taylor had all those high end vocals.
Yeah.
He was he was the Michael Anthony of the Foo Fighters. So
sure.
I think that's probably a little too near and dear and maybe not sonically as achievable.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It probably was.
You're probably right.
Hill's range was up there. He sang the Queen. When they covered like Under Pressure, he would do the Freddie parts. Easy.
Yeah. When they played Wimbledon, he did Zeppelin. Too. He did the Zeppelin rock and roll with Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and Dave Grohl on drums when they headlined Wembley. I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 years ago. So he was known for doing like the Queen stuff, the higher pitch, the higher range.
Right on. Yeah, I know very little about them.
But because I don't think that Stevie and Eris are the biggest Foo Fighter fans.
Well, yeah.
I'm curious what they thought.
Well, her mother bought the tickets for everybody.
Yeah.
Stevie likes Joan Jett, so she thought that was cool.
Okay.
And Eris digs everything,
Yeah, Eris is pretty mellow. But did they leave going, wow, the Foo Fighters are a great band, or wow, Dave's a great performer?
I asked all of them when they got in the car. I said, you kids have fun? And they all said yes. But they did say that was the first show they ever went to where they couldn't see the performers because it was just a sea of people. And they couldn't see the stage at all. They didn't get a glimpse of anybody. Stevie said,
were they on the floor? Yeah.
Well, it's all floor. I mean, it's Veterans Park.
It's like a field park.
It's Harley Fest. It's just like,
yeah.
If you saw drone shots from this, you would think it was freaking Live Aid. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
And
what do they bring? What do they get in there, Brian? 50,000, 30,000? Do you know?
I don't know. It's Veterans Park. This is not a venue. This is just
but do they have like an estimate where they'll say, we expect over?
I didn't pay attention to that. I don't know, but it was big. And
next time Stevie's mom is buying tickets for something, you might want to just mention, hey, I might be available.
Well, I really, quite frankly, I'm available for shuttle. That's fine with me because I can't imagine that I'd want to stand and watch anything. I'd have to really like the artist to go see the artist.
Yeah, that's true.
There aren't too many that are live that I can think of off the top of my head where I think, I'd go see an ELO show. That I would go see.
Yeah.
I'd probably go see a Gaga show. There are a few, but there aren't many where I would go out of my way to go see. I've seen them.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Yeah.
But at any rate, moving right along here, let's go to Howie. Howie, you got something for us this week?
Yes, I do. It's something unusual.
Ooh, not Velvet Underground this week.
No.
Oh, okay.
This is an album from 2020, and the name of the group is called Stardust.
The Weeknd.
What are they called? Stardust.
I guess Jay spoke over me. The name of the group is Stardust, and the song I picked from that, it's featuring Patty Gurdy. The name of the song is Concrete Cages. And Patty Gurdy is German, and she plays the hurdy-gurdy. That instrument looks like a guitar body without a neck, although it does have a short neck with strings. But there's levers and buttons that she pushes. Now, the tailpiece is where you would normally have the strap for a guitar. It's got a crank on it. And she can actually do a bass line and lead at the same time.
So is this like a zither or an auto harp kind of thing?
Very similar.
Okay.
But it has a Celtic feel to it, but it's very unique instrument. And, Stardust. Okay. Scar. They consider themselves the heavy metal band. So I thought it was interesting. And their female lead singer and Patty Gurdy is her stage name, playing the hurdy-gurdy.
The hurdy-gurdy.
She opens up with a really cool riff. And it just blew me away. The way I discovered it, I forget what I was watching, a TV show or a movie, and I just Shazammed it. And then I went to YouTube. So you folks out there, you got to check this out. Just look up Stardust featuring Patty Gurdy, and the name of the song is Concrete Cages from the album Strangers. It's just totally amazing. It's let's see, they have a typical band lineup, guitar, bass, drum, organ, but then they have a 5-piece string set, and then they had a chorus. It had to be 30 or 40 people of like a choir.
Wow!
But it's heavy metal too, though. I mean, it's just amazing song.
Right on.
Definitely have to check that out after class. Be curious to see what that sounds like.
Well, I will, for those that are viewing now, I will put in the comment section a link to the YouTube video. So that's my pick.
Right on. Sweet. Eric, what do you got?
Well, I couldn't choose between I've got two, but it's the same artist. Two albums by the same artist that I really think were worthy of putting on the table tonight.
Okay.
One's from 1980. It's Bob Seger, Against the Wind, that album.
Okay.
I don't think there was a bad song on that album. Horace, You'll Accompany Me, Her Strut, and what else was on there? Against the Wind, the title track. Fire Lake, who's getting out.
Fire Lake.
I mean, there's a lot of great hits on that album. I
can crank them out, Kenny.
And the second one by him was Stranger in Town. Again, that was another great album, old time rock and roll, of course, still the same.
Right.
We've Got Tonight, which is huge, always was huge.
Right.
I don't know if Till It Shines was a single and opera.
No, I remember it. I mean, it might have been on Rocket Radio, but I remember hearing it on the radio.
But those were all. Hollywood Nights also was on.
Yes, there too. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Wasn't the other one Night Moves in between those two albums?
I thought Night Moves. I think it was, you're right, in between, because this was 78. Yeah. And he might have had another one between. Right.
Yeah, I think Night Moves was in between. Yeah, Bob Seger really blossomed in that time. Did a lot of stuff.
Seemed like he had an album every year for a while.
For a while, yeah.
69 was his first album, and I don't think I recognized
was it? Well, no, yeah, he.
Because it wasn't Silver Bullet Band. It was
right.
Bob Seger and the Strangers or something like that. And
I got a friend who is personal friends with Bob Seger, and they went to college together, and they're still friends, and they still go out to dinner together and stuff and touch bases. But he's got these singles from Bob Seger, stuff he was doing in the local bars and stuff around Detroit.
Wow.
That, he would like press and then hand out to his friends. He has several of those 45s, I guess, or his wife actually kept them. So, yeah.
They were never released, right?
Is that no, well, I don't even know what they are. I just know that it's being signed Bob Seger singles that he personally went and had pressed or whatever, and then handed out to his pals way back when they were in college. And my friend is probably 70 or north of that. So, I mean, Bob's age, I guess, Bob's got to be around that too.
How cool is that, right? Oh, I'm friends with Bob Seger, right?
Well, he was just Bob, Cool they would just follow him because they really liked him. They would go support him at his, wherever he was playing. And then all of a sudden he hits and they stayed friends. So, yeah.
Is that really his last name? Seger? Is that really his last name? Or did
yeah. As far as I know.
Probably.
Was that Jay?
Eric, look at Howie. He used to ride bikes all the time with Lou Reed. He owns Lou Reed's old Harley.
Yeah.
And he went riding with Lou Reed, and people be like, I know you. And he's like, this is Steve.
Yeah. He looks like, I know who you think.
Oh, but you look just like Lou Reed. Yeah, my name's Steve.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
If you ask Howie, he'll tell you. They didn't talk about Velvet Underground. They didn't talk about the industry.
No.
Probably talked about the flavor of ice cream they were eating, or the weather, or how's the Harley riding, or on air.
Yeah.
I mean,
he just wanted to get away from being the rock star.
Sure.
I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Me too.
Props for the Bob Seger pick, though, because he made amazing studio records, but he brought it on stage. That's really what one of them were like 9 Tonight and all the live stuff. Like you can just, the energy is palpable. It's just like he's going for it, like every night.
Bob Seger, Peter Frampton are at least two of the artists I can think of that you've never heard the studio version of their big hits. Like right. Bob Seger, no one plays Turn the Page.
Well, some of them
including me, unless it's the live version. And Peter Frampton, Do You Feel? The studio version is like this wimpy 4.5 minute song. Then that's how it comes.
That's like Cheap Trick. I Want You to Want Me. You only hear Budokan.
You gotta have the Budokan. Great example.
Right, because that is like Surrender. It's a hee-haw song. So
it's Surrender.
You can do the studio version.
You play the studio. You're like,
Yeah.
I always felt that way with like Paul McCartney's Coming Up. The live version was much better.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
I actually prefer the live version of Old Time Rock and Roll, actually, from Bob Seger.
I think everyone did a rock album.
More energy, know? Yeah.
Hey, Brian,
you're rocking around the board. Yeah.
Where's Cadott, Wisconsin? Am I pronouncing that correctly? Cadott.
I don't know.
I just got a hit that there's a video of Zakk Wylde with Pantera at Rockfest 2023 in Cadott, Wisconsin.
I believe that's somewhere up beyond Green Bay. It's like
so it's nowhere near. Okay,
it's several, like 3 hours away, 4 hours away.
Okay, okay. I didn't even know that.
Pantera, or maybe it's near. Maybe it's literally Northwoods. It's like nowhere near here. The hillbillies like that kind of stuff.
Okay,
they like it when Warrant comes to town. They'll pay to go see that shit.
Okay. That makes sense.
So I'm going to go, is it rock? Is it rock?
Yeah.
Unless you want to be the oddball, that's up to you.
It's kind of rock. But it's more than that. And this is an artist that I was thinking about for our topic tonight, which was, the ones that you're sleeping on, the artists that you're maybe not giving the credit to that you should, for one reason or another. This particular artist, oh, man, what a journey he had. I mean, going from like just a musician in the band to the backing main vocalist to to the front man to a solo artist, and that would be Mr. Phil Collins. And this is the first that I'm aware of single he had, which was a remake of the Supremes' "You Can't Hurry Love," which he did a great job on, by the way. I think he owned that tune.
Yeah,
so that's the single. I mean, the one that everybody talks about, though, is Face Value with "In the Air Tonight." And the other one on this album that I think is really good is called "Missed Again." I love
great
that song.
Great song.
Phil, I don't know. Like I was saying with our topic tonight, these artists that you're sleeping on, I think Phil Collins might be an artist that we're kind of dismissing as the mom rock guy because of the Lion King crap he did. And more of the adult contemporary stuff he was doing maybe in the late 80s and through the 90s. But this dude was no joke as a writer, as a guy who could arrange songs, as a singer, a virtuoso, not only on drums, but he played piano too. He played keys, probably other instruments. I'm sure he played guitar too. And just an all around amazing kind of dude that I think that we're all sleeping on Mr. Phil Collins. I'm a Phil fan, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Hello, my name is Brian, and I like Phil Collins.
There you go.
But I don't own Invisible Touch.
The inventor of gated reverb for drum kits.
Yes, exactly. That iconic sound.
Yes. That sound you hear and Something's Going On from Frito, that sound, just like the drums just hit and
In the Air Tonight.
Quiet. Yeah.
And you know who else used that I can think of? The first other artist I could think of that used that was John Cougar, when he was still John Cougar, with Jack and Diane. He was using that.
The big soul.
Right before the beat section.
That was a Phil, wasn't it?
Yeah, it kind of was a Phil there. Yeah.
You know the story behind that Phil, right?
Which one? The Jack and Diane one?
Kenny Aronoff, who played it. The Jack and Diane. And the producer and manager were like, this isn't working out. This guy's not that good. And it came down to recording that song. And it got back to him like, hey, you know what? We're probably going to go with a different drummer, different direction, whatever. And he went in and just made that up on the spot, put that in, and it blew everyone away and became such a signature of this song.
You want a piece of me? Let's go.
Yeah, literally. And it's like he was so scared that he was out of the band. He's like, it just, came from the heavens above kind of thing. He's like, and they were like, okay, no, this is perfect. Okay, well, we were wrong. Yeah. Because Kenny Aronoff was on, and Kenny Aronoff is one of the greatest drummers of all time. If you see him, he's bald, always wears sunglasses. He's been with everyone. Long stint with John Cougar Mellencamp. But he's been with a lot of people, like Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's always their drummer. So he's been around and he's respected. But his job was on the line, and that's what saved him, was that Phil.
I like stories.
No, you know.
Good story.
The more you know.
Well, it's like with the internet, it's ruined it. How many people here believe the story behind the song "In the Air Tonight"?
I've heard multiple stories on that.
No,
but it came down to the drowning or his wife getting raped.
And the guy was in the audience and
he put a spotlight on him. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so moving. And then you grow up and get the internet and you go, oh wait, that's all wrong.
Wait, Snopes.com. Hold on. No, never happened.
He was interviewed on a late night talk show and he debunked that himself and said, all those things. He said, the labels and myself let it go because it just gave us more street cred. Albums.
Well, going back to Phil just for a minute, I remember, of course, he was the drummer for Genesis when it was featuring Peter Gabriel, and then he would sing the background vocals, like for Peter, and he would try to sing like Peter and sound like Peter. And that's why, if you've never thought about it, if you listen to tracks like Follow Me, Phil sounds very different. Close your eyes and imagine that being Peter Gabriel, and it's totally Peter Gabriel. The way he's enunciating and things. when it came to Duke, he kind of came into his own, right? But he's also a great writer. He was a formally trained drummer too when he joined the band. Nobody else was formally trained with anything. He was formally trained with music. And then when it was like, okay, we're all going to go do our own thing just for fun right now, the whole band is like, we wanted Phil to do well, but not that well.
We want him to come back. Jesus. Tie a string to him or he's gone.
Give me a break.
Phil. Come back, Phil.
I did Mike and the Mechanics. That was okay, but oh my God, this was crazy.
And Phil was like, I don't care anymore.
Right, exactly.
It only was.
Exactly.
Look at Matt. Jump bump. Try the clams, everybody.
Oh, but there was no reply at all. It's just like,
no, none.
I was listening to just recently, and again, this stuff becomes lexicon in our heads, I think. Yeah. And so we kind of dismiss it because, we're tired of it. Like Bob Seger songs for me is kind of like that too, that Eric was talking about. I don't sit around and listen to Bob Seger albums because I've heard it all before, like repetitively over and over again. So it's not like I don't like Bob Seger. I don't appreciate Bob Seger. I've just heard it already. How many times can you watch Star Wars? 150 times, 200 times?
Well, that's it. You're absolutely right. How many times have we all played collectively old time rock and roll? But it's such a deeper catalog. There's other songs that are amazing too. But
old time rock and roll is a good song. You gotta play old time rock moves. Yeah, or turn the page.
There's an argument that Hollywood Nights is one of the greatest pop songs ever written. And if you listen to that guy break it down, there's two different drummers playing through the whole song. And if you listen to the stems, there's drummer 1, drummer 2. So when you hear the drums, it sounds really big because it's two different people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he wrote it hanging out with different people in LA, and he was driving around and he put this song. I mean, broken down by stems, that song is amazing.
Thank you, Jay. See, there you go, Brian. So there.
Yeah.
Actually, the song I was thinking about was for Phil Collins. That it's so good. I mean, he wrote it, he sang it, he arranged it, he played on it against all odds. Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. No, that's an amazing track.
What a gear shift, huh? Just like,
we were talking,
I can do this too.
We were talking about how different the movies and songs were back in the day. Back in the day, movies broke songs. They had a song.
Songs broke movies.
Well, no, okay, then songs broke movies. But then all of a sudden, in the late 90s, it became like we were talking earlier about Ghost. And they said, okay, instead of getting someone to write a new song,
let's just do a 30-year-old Righteous Brothers song. Yeah.
we'll go get Unchained Melody.
Right.
And it will become the movie and the song.
Actually, it's probably only 20 years old back then.
Well, it's like Against All Odds and all these other tracks were either written for the movie because it was like, here's the title, write a song. I mean, the last time that probably happened that I can think of would be Iris by Goo Goo Dolls. And that was done specifically for weird tuning and everything else for City of Angels.
I think Madonna did Beautiful Stranger movie. I think Madonna did Beautiful Stranger for Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged.
She did, and that's a great song. But I think it was probably the same process. Here's the movie, watch it. Right. Now give us a song.
Write me a psychedelic song that fits this narrative. Yeah.
It's because there's an Alanis Morissette song from City of
Uninvited.
Angels.
Yeah.
And that was going to be the song. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden in walks John Resnick.
You're right.
He watches the movie and he goes, I'll be right back. He goes to his hotel. He has an acoustic guitar. Every single string is tuned to D. Every string is D. Plays that intro, plays the set, gives them a cassette tape the next day, and they were like, just, oh my God, what is this? This
and they had amazing. some other sitar player or something getting with them on that one or something.
Tim Pierce, a famous studio musician, guitarist, came in and did a mandolin part.
Mandolin is what it was.
And it just went over the top. And everyone was like, he brought in all his gear and they're like, what is he doing? And he starts playing, they're like, oh, okay, bring in anything you want. We don't care.
Keep it coming. Yep.
Well, I'm thinking about the early 80s with things like Against All Odds, perfect example. The music videos were advertisements for the movie. They were movie trailers is what they were.
100% because they had all the clips.
you would watch MTV and you would see half the time Phil Collins is on the screen. The other half the time it's some movie clip of some actors that have a lot of hair, body hair.
Right.
But anyway,
look at Pat Travers with Valley Girl. Pat Travers has a song called La 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 Love You, and his video is clips from the movie. It was presented in that fashion of, this is from this movie, Valley Girl, with Nicolas Cage, not his first movie, because that would have been Fast Times at Ridgemont High, was Nicolas Cage's first.
Was that
movie.
Before Valley Girl?
Yes, that came out before Valley Girl.
Yeah.
Valley Girl came out shortly thereafter.
Okay. They must have been right next to each other.
They were. It was literally that year, I think. But it was a soundtrack movie. Like every song that had the Plimsouls, Million Miles Away, another Plimsouls track, the Payolas, Eyes of a Stranger, La La Love You, Are You Queer?
Yeah, I Know What Boys Like. Was that on there?
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was. Like Johnny, Are You Queer?
Yeah.
Valley Girl. That was Frank Zappa's daughter had a tune on that, right? The Valley Girl.
I think she did. Yeah,
Valley Girl wasn't on there.
Moon Unit.
Valley Girl came out after.
It wasn't the song Valley Girl, but she may have had something on there. I mean, but it was there was a symbiosis, because if you look at Fast Times at Ridgemont High, like the movie more or less opens with Tom Petty, American Girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the songs that really blew up. I mean, we all, if you don't hear
That one it opens.
Moving in Stereo. Yeah, that was in Fast Times. If you don't hear Moving in Stereo by the Cars and think of Phoebe Cates,
yeah, something wrong with you.
You've missed out on an opportunity that I can't give you that back.
The uncomfortable one for me is not even that one. It's Jackson Brown's Somebody's Baby during that whole scene. That was just uncomfortable.
That was the bad song for that scene. Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, a quick thing for all you DJs that watch this, a lot of you may get couples who are getting married who are both lawyers. That's right. Both of them, because a lot of lawyers are married lawyers.
Could they be lawyers in love?
But Jay, what about Jackson Brown, Lawyers in Love? That's where I was going. Thanks, John.
Oh, no worries.
I would
just help me get there.
Steve on Send Lawyers, Guns, and Money.
Lawyers, Guns, and Money is great.
So, Lawyers, Guns, and Money again.
Yeah,
something during maybe dinner. Yes.
So speaking
Lawyers, Guns, and Money.
Speaking of Bob Seger, and speaking of movies, how many songs did Bob Seger have in movies, like for soundtracks? I can think of a few.
He was everywhere. Yeah.
Like Mr. Soundtrack.
The first one I can remember him doing, and maybe there was something before this, was American Pop with Night Moves. The animated thing, I think was before Heavy Metal.
That might be the first.
What about Felix the Cat?
Did you Shakedown?
That old?
Well, that was Beverly Hills Cop 2.
Beverly Hills, yeah.
You had Old Time Rock and Roll re-released for
Risky Business.
Risky Business.
Yeah.
Shakedown from
Shakedown was in there. And what was the other one? The way that you use it from whatever that movie was with Tom Cruise and Michael Caine, where they were pool sharks. The Color of Money.
Color of Money.
Color of Money.
What was it?
I can think of one.
Paul Newman.
What was it? Paul Newman.
Yeah, Paul Newman. Yeah,
Paul Newman was in Color of Money.
I got a classic
because he was in the original one with Jackie Gleason about Fats, Minnesota Fats, and whatever else.
Here's a classic: the movie Mask with Cher. Kathmandu was in that movie.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah, he's right.
Really? Oh yeah,
he's right. Yeah.
Mask. I thought you said Mash.
Oh no, Mask.
No. Okay. Yeah, Mask.
Really funny story. I got to tell this real fast. I'm sitting here one day and I hear this song called Brian, what's the name of the song? Suicide is Easy.
Suicide is Painless.
Suicide is Painless. And I think I'm the only person on the planet that's ever heard this. I call Brian. It's like 11 o'clock his time. He's like in a sleep or something. He's like, hey, what's up? What's up? Everything okay? I'm like, you're never going to believe this. What? I just heard a song based on the theme from the show MASH, and it has words, and it's called, and Brian blurts out, Suicide is Painless.
Words. It's got words now.
I'm like, wait, what?
All those seasons, there were no lyrics.
That was by Loudon Wainwright III.
I honestly thought I had come upon something that was going to blow Brian's brains out of his head, and it would be a week in the hospital.
That'd be a lack of sleep.
Never recover, and it would be that, like Sid Barrett moment. Nope. He's like, yeah, Suicide's Painless. Yeah, everyone knows that song.
It's kind of been around. I think I get the 45.
I'm like, I just heard it. He's like, yeah, no, it's been around for like 100 years.
It was in the movie.
You've got to be kidding me. He's like, yeah, no.
It was a theme song to the movie that was
a theme from the TV show. You didn't see the movie? I'm like, no.
Oh, well, that's why you don't know this shit.
And I literally hung up in shame. I think I wept softly. I was like, is this even happening? Because I was like, I finally got it. I got a moment over Brian. I've heard a thing based on a thing that was like a thing on a theme. Okay. And I was like, this is it. I've made it. Nope. He was right there. Yeah. That's Loud Wainwright III?
Yes. And all of his music was very either sarcastic or dark, comedic, but he would use dark themes. And that, I saw him at a local college, and, I was doing tech work for them, and he was just a down-to-earth guy, but funny as could be. And like, Suicide is Painless. You really think about it. Yeah, it is, because you're gone. You don't feel it.
You do it right.
He was just being,
right.
Funny.
I don't know his catalog well enough, Howie. Is he like a Warren Zevon type where everything's got like a twist?
Yes. And his son is Rufus Wainwright. That's his son.
Wainwright doing Hallelujah.
Yes. That's his son. That's his son.
That's an amazing version of Hallelujah. Yeah. And it's from a big movie. I can't think of the movie, but it's from some big kids movie, I think.
Yep.
Wow.
So who else we sleeping on? I'd mentioned before the show that I'd watched the Wham documentary on Netflix.
Me too. Really good.
And I was really surprised how Andrew Ridgeley was a lot more involved with Wham than I thought he was. Like a lot more involved with Wham.
Big time.
And it almost reminded me of, well, in a weird sort of way, they were suggesting that George was emulating Andrew with his personality. Reminded me of how Morris Day was emulating Prince's personality as his character, Morris Day.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually Prince doing, or Morris Day doing his interpretation or imitation of Prince doing his character, Jamie Starr. It's like an extension of, like an alter ego or whatever. But yeah, wrote stuff, did costumes, did a lot of concept stuff, co-wrote Careless Whisper, which I did not know. Music, I don't know if he did lyrics, but he did music.
Yeah.
But very interesting stuff.
Well,
especially watching the growth.
You actually mentioned my pick for, an artist, Jackson Browne. And, he is a prolific writer.
Yeah.
He did stuff like, you ever hear a song called Take It Easy?
Oh, yeah.
By Eagles? He wrote that.
Oh, I didn't know he wrote it.
Yeah,
but it sounds just like a Jackson Browne song.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like
his
the hell song am I thinking of? Jackson Browne.
Running on Empty.
Running on Empty. Yeah, it sounds like Running on Empty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess the song that I associate Jackson Browne with is, when he does the song for the Roadies.
Oh, the Loadout.
The Loadout. Yeah.
Great song. If everyone here, if you've ever felt that in a moment, you're gonna that's for us. That's for us.
Anybody that was anybody back then did songs that Jackson Browne wrote, and he wrote them for them. It was Judy Collins, Linda Ronstadt sang some of his songs.
They were all kind of Laurel Canyon pals.
Yes.
Eagles, Jackson Browne, Linda Ronstadt, among others. The story I heard was that Jackson Browne, Glenn Frey, and Don Henley were sharing a house.
Yes.
In Laurel. And Jackson Browne was in the basement. And like for several days in a row, he just kept banging out the piano riff, The Doctor in My Eyes, like he was writing it, working it out. They just wanted to murder him. So they're so sick of that. He just kept playing it over and over again.
In their basement, just found out that Joe Walsh comes down, like, cut it out. And then Don Henley comes down. What are you doing?
Joe Walsh wasn't around yet. He wasn't hanging with.
Oh, it's earlier.
It was Don Henley and Glenn Fry. But yeah.
Might have come over for a burger, you know.
Right. Yeah, very, and he's a writer, a performer, kind of a low key dude, as is people like Phil Collins and somebody Jay and I were talking about on the phone, who isn't a gorgeous person but does some really neat stuff. Elton John, you know, he's got the perfect face for radio. Yet, he's done some amazing things.
I mean, you look at his career; he wrote all the music. Bernie Taupin wrote all the words.
Right.
You know, and we see this repeatedly in pop and rock and music. Geddy Lee was part of writing the music, but Neil Peart, the drummer, wrote all the lyrics.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy, huh?
Gifford and Tilbrook, the cute guy that does all the vocal, didn't write any of the lyrics.
But
the other guy that had the low voice for Cool for Cats wrote all the lyrics.
Now, you mentioned Elton John and Bernie Taupin. It was the other way around. Bernie Taupin would write the lyrics first, and then Elton John would compose after.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you want, go to YouTube. There's a video for Elton John at a college, and he explains just what Howie said, that Bernie would write the lyrics and give them to him, and he would say, oh, I feel this. So he said, I'm very good at doing that. And the guy narrating or emceeing, announcing, whatever, said, really, he goes, anyone have a book? And somebody puts their hand up and they're like, yeah, I have this book on American history. Great. Give me the book. He gave him the book, and he, without looking, went to the book, and he goes, okay, find a page, find a paragraph.
Is this magic trick?
It almost seemed that way.
It will eventually be it. Yeah.
No, because Elton John sat there and he looks at he reads the lines out loud. He goes, it was a time when, settlers had moved across the West, unknowing of the conditions, yada, yada, yada. And he literally, within a half second, goes, ding, 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 ding. It was a time the settlers moved to the, he fucking makes a song up, and it was good. It wasn't a bad thing, and it wasn't one of his. He didn't take your song and go, okay,
put those words over it.
He just made it up, and they were like, "Oh, this is what you do." He's like, "I can do this all day.
Yeah,
this is what I do."
Make it happier. Put it the key of C. Make it happier. Okay.
Wouldn't it be interesting to write like a poem in one state of mind, thinking of something, handing it to someone else, and having them musically interpret it into like a completely different mood? Like, I'm thinking of songs like Mama Can't Buy You Love. Was that supposed to be up-tempo?
Right.
Is that what Bernie was thinking about? Like, it was supposed to be like Tiny Dancer or something, And he goes, Mama don't want you, Daddy don't need to. Like, what?
Well, can you imagine
what I know,
Brian? Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine what it must have felt like to say, here's a song about a woman, Tiny Dancer. No. Here's about a woman that I'm so in love with, and this is who she is and what she does, and it doesn't work out. Okay, he'd give it to me. And you're thinking it's somber and morose and all that, and all of a sudden it's like, zoop,
uplifting,
this part, and this part, and it's like,
Oh, Bernie, good lyrics. I really wish I miss home. I wish I was home on the farm. And Elton starts playing Yellow Brick Road. Like, you would cry. You'd be like, oh my God.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
But I mean, how much would you give to, if you could change your life where you could sit down and write out? Because if you really look at the lyrics of most Elton John songs, there aren't 700 words.
Right.
There's like a key bunch of lines and then a chorus and a repeat and a bridge. And if you could write down and then walk down the street, knock on the door, be like, hey, dude, got some lyrics. Cool, man. Thank you.
Straight to number one. Let's go. Straight to number one.
You're still at home.
Like a photo booth, right? Slide it in and out comes your record.
you got a smoke in one hand, you got a Starbucks in the other, Blanca's upstairs on Netflix, and you're just like, you just hear ting, 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 ting. It sounds like a slot machine or buffaloes. Your bank account's just blown up. You don't have to go anywhere. This would Brian is the ultimate Bernie Taupin. Doesn't have to leave his house, can stay right where he is, and the money just flows. I mean, what a joy.
Well,
and know that everyone knows the words that came out of your heart.
Now that we're talking about that, how about the opposite of that? Where the song comes first and then the lyrics magically come. And then you've got two geniuses working together. Immediately, I go to NXS with Andrew Ferris and Michael Hutchins. Andrew Ferris
great example.
would compose everything. And then say, hey, can you do some lyrics? The cool story, it was in the biopic of NXS. And I'm pretty confident that the cool thing about the biopic is they were cutting away to, members of the band, and they were doing commentary on it. And so Andrew Ferris starts writing the song. It isn't quite right. He's getting ready to get in a cab to fly to China to go see Michael, who's in China at the time. And he gets in the cab. He's like, well, wait a minute. Keep the meter running. Goes back in the house 3 hours later. Figures out this song and the riff and the guitar and everything else, records it, gets on the plane, flies to Hong Kong, goes to Michael's apartment where he's having some kind of soiree thing in the afternoon, like Michael Hutchins would. Says, here, I have a tape I want you to listen to. He says, okay. And the guy is like, kind of buzzing, day drinking the whole bit, and this party's going on. Goes in the bedroom, comes out 10 minutes later and says, here you go. And it's Need You Tonight. It's all the lyrics. He wrote them in like 10 minutes. And it's just like, that's crazy.
I said to Brian, someone needs to write this book. And the title I gave him in the car, sitting in traffic, dying because the AC was cutting in and out, was like The Mistakes of Music, I think was the title I gave you. Based solely on the fact that how many great pieces of music,
Lucky Mistakes or whatever.
Yeah. Lucky Mistakes, or the album's all done, and Magical Joe Elliott Mistakes. Is sitting here going like, what's that? Oh, it's just a 3-chord thing I came up with. Oh, okay. You write lyrics, I'll write lyrics, and then Pour Some Sugar on Me is born.
Right.
Or, hey guys, we've got 11 minutes and 40 seconds on this album. We really need to fill with something. You know what? We're just going to jam something out real quick. I mean, if you want to hit record, Traffic, a Low Spark, Low Spark of High Heel Boys, boom.
And the magic, the lightning strikes, for sure.
And there has to be 100,000 of these stories where it's like, we don't hear a single. We need one more song.
Oh, think of McCartney. He's like, I get this melody, scrambled eggs. Oh, my baby, how I love your legs. He's like, I don't have words yet, but it might go something somewhere someday.
Well, even something as inane as Poison.
Smoke on the Water is a perfect example.
Exactly.
Richie Blackmore had that thing, and they were like, we need one more song for the album. And then they wrote the lyrics
based solely on what happened.
Yes, but Richie Blackmore already had the riff,
and the riff is Beethoven's 5th or 9th, that dun 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 dun
backwards, right?
He reversed it.
Yeah,
backwards. It's all he did. He goes, "This is an amazing thing. It's only 2 notes, 4 notes. Let's do this. I'll just spin it upside down." Well, Warrant, they were releasing their second album. It was called Uncle Tom's Cabin. Uncle Tom's Cabin was a single. Uncle Tom's Cabin was the direction of the album. And the label said, yeah, dude, we don't know. We need something else, something poppy. That was on Monday. Tuesday, Janie Lane comes in and goes, I got this cherry pie thing. I don't know if you want it. And all of a sudden, and he hated it. Janie Lane hated the song, hated everything about it because
we had something in common.
He became the cherry pie guy. He had to go to cherry pie eating contests. He had to get cherry pie guy.
Myself. Yeah. Oh no.
And he did it, but he did it like begrudgingly, like, yeah, I'll write something. Yeah, I'll make it the most sexually innuendo song you've ever heard.
And never going to get it on the radio.
Perfect.
Yeah, but it was big on MTV because
it was huge.
She was an MTV VJ. The girl is
Bobby Brown.
Yeah, he married her.
Yeah. She was.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
Yeah. She took hot to a level that there are no temperatures.
Yeah.
And now, not so much. Different.
It happens with age.
Yeah. Not every bottle of wine goes fine.
Those stories go on for days. I mean, I've talked about the Blackman Turner Overdrive. You ain't seen
the stutter thing. Yeah.
With the stutter. That was a goof track. And
Can you imagine that? Let's make a funny goof track, and that becomes the song you're known for.
The most recent one that I heard that I thought was great was actually on that Christopher Cross interview with Rick Beato.
Oh, loved it.
Where they were talking about how iconic the intro was to Sailing, where it starts with the strings and it goes into this guitar. It's just beautiful. And it won like awards and things. Like, he got Best New Artist. That was the song, you know?
Yeah.
And they were asking him about it. He's like, actually, can't take credit for that. So we had the strings were recorded in a separate session, but we were mixing it down, and we had two machines that were chasing each other, and one machine fell behind the other. So the orchestral thing kicked in first. It was supposed to be the guitar and then the orchestral stuff. So we got to fix that. And my ex-brother-in-law was sitting there and says, that was kind of cool.
Lucky mistakes.
There you go. It's like, well, how the orchestra starts before the guitar, that was kind of cool. I'm like, did it? Was that cool? Let's listen to that again. And left it.
I think at the root of it, music is intended to be an art that touches the end user or fan or aficionado or individual in a way that means something. I was listening to one of Howie's tracks the other day, just in the middle of the day, put on Johnny Thunders. You can't put your arms around a memory.
Right.
And it's a very dumbed down, easy to understand, lyrically not amazing song. But when you're done listening to it in its entirety, it is fantastic. It is earth-shattering. It is, if you guys have probably all as DJs heard the track, Walking in the Rain by really Bailey?
Orange Jones?
Walking in the Rain by Flash in the Pan.
Oh, wrong Walking in the Rain.
The Australian
lyrics make no sense, but there's a mood that they're able to present. And I remember when I was at WBCN, we would play that when it rained at some point, and it just was amazing. Like, it was earth-shattering. Walking home from work at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning one day with my little Walkman on, and the station had given me a tape. And I put it in my little Walkman and I hit play. And the first track was In Excess, The One Thing. Now, The One Thing is a great song, but when you're walking as the sun's coming up, kind of thing, through the fens to your apartment, that's a moment you never forget. The Fix, Red Skies at Night. When you're out there at sunset and these things, that's the point of music. It's supposed to hit you in a way that never lets you go.
You're right, Jay. And a lot of people will interpret the same song differently and have a different reason for liking it because it applies to
they probably hear the same song differently
in their life,
Right.
We probably aren't all hearing
it. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? Shouldn't you look at an art piece like a painting and go, I see this. Well, I see this.
Right.
Well, you're both right.
We're both right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I remember I used to love the song Lunatic Fringe by Red Ryder.
Yeah.
I listened to it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And then somebody said to me, that siren's kind of weird. I'm like, what siren? Like, the siren, it's right there. I'm like, I've never heard a siren before.
At the end of it, that
I'd never heard that. I'd listened to that song hundreds of times. I'd never heard the siren.
Yeah, another one. By the way, artists that I think when you look at their career-wise that we're probably sleeping on, I bet you we could come up with a list from the 80s that would choke a horse as far as we forgot about. We didn't pay reason. Thompson Twins. I mean, Hold Me Now, Today, Michael McDonald,
Dr.
Doobie Brothers. I mean, there's, Lies. There's so many tracks that
Howard Jones alone.
Oh my gosh, please. And the one that I know you're going to absolutely light up about, that I know everyone in this room is sleeping on, because I guarantee no one here is playing him live today because we can't find where he fits. Joe Jackson.
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, there's an insane talent that nobody's running.
You know what I played last week? Because I didn't work this last weekend, but I worked the weekend before. You know what Joe Jackson song I played?
Really, everything gives you cancer.
Got the time.
Oh, you did. You did that.
Got the time. We've got a bartender who loves punk, and
he didn't know that was.
She had
Joe
never
Jackson.
heard it.
No.
So I'm like, I was talking to her at the bar. There was some people sitting there. I said, if you like punk, you ought to listen to the Look Sharp album. They're like, you mean Joe Jackson? I'm like, yeah, that's actually a very punk album. They're like, how? And I'm like, let me play a track.
Let me show you.
I went up there and I played it. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is Joe Jackson, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. Like, this is punk, isn't it?
Did you follow it with Anthrax though?
No, I probably followed it with something like weird, like I don't know, Loveless Team or something. It was during my warm up.
Oh, that's okay, because a lot of people are like, how did I miss this? How did this get by me? Like you're so focused on A and you don't see B. You know, that's.
I'll tell you the other one. I want all of you as an assignment to go back and listen to. I want you to go to Style Council.
Oh, yeah.
And I want you to listen to a song called My Ever Changing Mood. That's from probably 85, 86, maybe.
Mid 80s somewhere. Yeah.
And I want you to now listen to it.
Post 85.
This many years later. And tell me it's not as good today as it was then, one. And two, that it's not a song you could find a spot at almost every event you've got coming up. I guarantee you could. My Ever-Changing Mood, Style Council.
We are totally out of time.
Sleeping on it.
But I will put this on this broadcast. I had an idea just this week. I don't know where it came from. But I was thinking, like, we try to be pretty nice on this show. We have a panel, and that's good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Jay has a lot to say. He has a lot to say.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe we should talk to John about an addition to the show, not to cancel, not do this anymore, but another show. I just call it DJs Uncensored, which is Jay and I basically have a phone conversation every week.
That'd be cool.
For an hour. And we can smoke and drink and drop F-bombs, and he'll get no sponsors for it.
You can't smoke and drink here? You sure?
Well, I'm just saying we're just uncensored. We're just.
By the way, even when John was on this, like years ago, he's like, okay, guys, so here's the deal. Like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Like, okay. Sounds good, John.
Yeah.
All right, I'm in for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Pepsi's all around.
Can I give you the title? Can I give you the title, Brian?
I thought DJs Uncensored would be good.
I'm thinking DJs After Dark.
There you go.
That might work too.
But I'm always after dark.
Dad.
Is it ever not dark?
Yeah, I'm always after dark.
But that might even be a good one for Howie on Mondays. Change the hang-in to DJs After or DJs with the Dark.
That's fine.
Ooh. Yeah.
Well, let's put a fork in this.
That's a good ending on it.
Yeah, let's kill it. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for